Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's webcast. Tonight's webcast is going to be based off of the words by Steve Peck, also known as Shaky Jr. That's right. And I want you to listen to his words. His words raise a good point. And I want to share some illustrations following his words. My illustrations, I think, will back up and support what he is presenting. There's a lot of confusion in the Bigfoot community on a lot of topics. And tonight I want to touch base on that. The first question is, why can't Bigfoot be found? And we're going to go into a few other questions following that. But right now, let's listen to Steve Peck. How about it, Steve?
Hey, my friends, how y'all today? Let's talk about the intelligence of a Bigfoot. People, a lot of people think that these things are human, and a lot of people think these things are animals. Aside by my opinion, the people that think they're human, some of their things are, well, they got a language. Well, I can tell you from experience, I've sat in a duck blind on a cold day and used a duck call. And if you don't use that duck call right, you're not going to get any ducks. So there's a language in the animal kingdom, like with animals. Ducks have a language, and and geese have a language. And, one of the smartest birds there is the damn crow. And they definitely have a language and know how to communicate with each other. Man, I tell you, the crow is one of the smartest damn birds there is. So, the language thing, animals don't have to be human to have a language. You know, and people talk about intelligence. These things have such a high intelligence. Well, what makes you think they have an intelligence? Where's their intelligence at? Okay. Well, they can stay away from us. Are you confusing intelligence with instinct? Their instinct is to hide. Their instinct is to not move if something else is near them, or I really believe it that people are getting intelligence and instincts with these creatures confused. Now, this is all just my opinion. You can hate me if you want. I don't care. People have been hating me for a long time and keep on hating. But think about it, or is it intelligence or is it instinct? Their instinct is to survive. So to survive is to hide, is to be quiet, and to mate, to get food, to hunt, to whatever. But it's instinct. Intelligence would be if they have a campfire and are cooking their food, or, every animal can have intelligence. Don't take me wrong. A raccoon is smarter than how squirrels figure out squirrel feeders. You go online and look at these things people put up for squirrels to go through to get to the bird seed, whatever. All animals have some degree of intelligence. But I really think people are confusing intelligence with instinct. I don't think these animals are as smart as what people think they are, as their instinct to survive is what's keeping them from being found. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it for today. It give you something to think about. Like I said, this is only my opinion. You ain't gotta you ain't gotta listen to what I say, but y'all have a great day and God bless.
All right, now, as you just heard what Steve had to say, think about those two words very carefully. All right? Intelligence versus instinct. Okay? There is a difference, people. There is a difference. Intelligence. All right? Then you have instinct. Keep in mind, common sense plays a key role in this. All right, just think about it and listen to it very carefully. All right, right here is the definition. I'm going to keep it up here for a little while, so read it carefully, okay? This is the definition of instinct. Instinct is a common behavior naturally found in a lot of main species. All right. Instinct is also a security, a natural sense of security. It's a natural behavior. Okay. I'm going to give you some time to read this very carefully. All right. One of my other illustrations, one of my first points I want to bring up. Let's talk about a couple of our known species right now. The bear. Okay. Let's talk about the bear. A bear. A lot of people see bears in the woods. You know, at the same time, it's more common to see their tracks. It's more common to see their signs that they leave behind. That's normal. That's natural. Anyone who's observant, that researches wildlife or Sasquatch, if you're observant and familiar with your known wildlife, you'll take notice of the bear tracks, the bear signs, the destruction that they cause. Okay? But for those rare moments that we get to see a bear while hiking in the woods, that bear's already smelled you. That bear's already acknowledged you long before you've acknowledged him. Okay? And what is it that you observe when you notice that bear? All right? In most cases, the bear is usually running away, taking off, opposite direction, fleeing the scene. That's a natural instinct. Okay? And keep in mind when I'm referring to this case, this is the North American black bear. All right, there's a very low count of a black bear being aggressive or approaching you. The only time you're going to really experience that is if you get too close to a female bear that has cubs. Then you might have a problem. And even then, that's a slight chance. As far as recorded and documented observations, right, especially right here in Virginia, this is, like I said, recorded, documented observations that it's very rare for a black bear to show any sign of aggression to approach a human. And like I just stated, black bears are usually taking off or leaving the scene, heading in the complete opposite direction away from people. Yeah, sure, why not entice them at your camp or something with some food? If you leave it there long enough without you being right, yeah, they'll approach. Bears have been known to come into a campsite with humans present, All right. So just think about that for a second. That's a natural instinct, okay, for them to take off. It's not considered intelligence. It's a safety caution. It's a security. It's natural instinct. Just like what Steve said. Okay? I'm using that as an example, and I'm going to get to another one very shortly. Keep in mind, this is about intelligence versus instinct when it comes to Sasquatch. But I'm using our known species first. Because remember, people, if you're researching Sasquatch and you think you know Squatch, keep in mind, you really don't. And that's a fact. We don't know nothing about Squatch. Yeah, we might observe something. We might see something. You know what? Until it's fully acknowledged by others in science, you can't claim it as fact. It was an observation. Okay? I mean, yeah, if we observe something that we've seen happen, yeah, we could say, well, they did that because I seen it happen. Okay, that's fine. It's an observation. A lot of our claims we make are speculation. Simple, clear as that, Okay. Let's come to our next point. A buck, a deer, a buck. For all our hunters out there who's been hunting many years, maybe you observe this. Maybe this has happened to you more than once, because this is kind of common. This is what I'm about to present to you has happened on a number of occasions. Okay. All right. Say if you're doing a drive, you're walking through the woods, or you're walking through a field with tall grass. You have several of you out there. You spread out 10, 15 feet apart, whatever. You headed you headed across the field to push up the deer to run them out. All right. You get so many yards into the field. You turn around, something catches your attention, or maybe you've already reached the other side, and you see a buck stand up from out of nowhere. He was there the whole time. He knew you were there. He was letting you pass by. He stayed down. Okay. One, was it intelligence? Oh, maybe very little of that. Maybe very little of that could have been intelligence, but that was taking a risk. That was instinct, people. That was instinct, a natural behavior. Because in that instinct that was used, that was his sense. He had a sixth sense. That deer had the instinct to stay put. He felt that if he stays there, he has a better chance of surviving. Okay? Makes sense, right? Did you read the definition? Did you read the definition of instinct? All right. Exactly. That wasn't intelligence, that was instinct. All right. It's also with other deer. Many of us hikers or researchers have been out in the field. I've walked up on deer and didn't even know they were there. They stay put. They stay still. They don't move. All right. That's part of instinct. Another part of their instinct, especially a doe, they'll run off, take off, especially if you spook them up. They'll run. Of course, you're going to see them run with their tail up. That's a flag. You see that white flag go up. That's part of them warning off the others, warning the others, hey, get out of here. Come on, bye, whatever. Adios, amigo. That's instinct. All right. If I'm not making any sense to you, rewind this back and listen to me all over again. Because what I'm presenting to you, what Steve said, you heard Steve. Now you're hearing me with the illustrations that I am explaining and pointing out to you that back and support what Steve is presenting. Okay? Steve is presenting that intelligence versus instinct. A lot of people are getting instinct confused with intelligence, claiming that Sasquatch is intelligence. Well, we believe he is. I believe it's safe to say that he is, but he's staying hidden. Okay? It's an instinct. What about the claims about rock throws? Them throwing rocks. That's something, apparently, if that's what they're doing, if it's them throwing the rocks, that's part of their instinct. Okay? They're building structures. Or they build a shelter. That's part of their instinct. A beaver. Beaver's a good point. Okay? A beaver builds a hut. A beaver builds the dam. Okay? Why is that? To stop the flow of the water. Okay? That's instinct. Okay? It's what's naturally put into them. They have the instinct to stop that. One beaver didn't train the other beaver. That's instinct. Okay? And I think that raises another point here. Let's kind of get off the subject. People claim that they speak and have a language. Okay? Do we understand birds? Do we understand whatever? Think of a known animal, a known species that that growls or makes a weird noise. We understand certain signs, such as a deer when they grunt, blow, snort. We understand them. They're observed behaviors that were studied, that were passed on to, the public. Okay? They were studied observations that were acknowledged by biologists and other hunters through a period of time, dating back to our Native Americans who studied and observed while they hunted. It's natural instinct of these animals that some of us got to observe or I think maybe you're starting to get the drift here. All right. Yeah. But like what I want to talk about, I talked about language. Okay. Talk about language. A lot of questions asked. People say, well, yeah, they speak a language. Okay. Some say they understand English. They speak English. Really? Really? Okay. Did you hear them speak English? That's your speculation. You believe that's what you heard. You don't know. Truth is, you don't know. Did you have a conversation with one? Just like me and you, we get together. Hey Joe, how you doing? How was your day today? Not too bad. I threw a few rocks today. Really? I mean, are you having conversations? Are you having conversations with a Sasquatch? Are they telling you something through their language? No. How do you know it's language? Because someone heard and dissected some kind of weird audio recording and you picked up some kind of language? That's speculation. That's what our imagination is perceiving into our minds. That it's not acknowledged. Now, Scott Nelson, he heard a bunch of jibber jabber and all this and that. He broke it down to, he picked up, he didn't pick up no known language. There was nothing known about it. He was able to pick up sounds of syllables of the letters, okay? And there's a pattern he picked up, but it's not a known language, all right? So, and as far as the language goes, all right, let's get back. I know I'm kind of getting off subject talking about the language versus the intelligence and instinct, but this is something I need to share. I want to speak on here. I asked a question recently. Okay, um, where did they learn English? Okay, or how do you know they learn? Yeah, if they know English, where did they learn it from? All right, what was what was replied to me is, well, they learned it from just like the way it was presented back to me is like, well, just like we learn our English from our parents as young children growing up, and so forth, whatever. That would make sense if that was true. There's no facts. There's nothing to support that whatsoever. That I believe they have their own language, but we don't know it. Really. I mean, do you understand a crow when you're yakking and raising havoc? I mean, think about it, people. Think about what I'm saying. Do I sound like I'm just rambling? No. Maybe I am to you. But I'm trying to present something to you and get you to think what I'm getting at here. Do you see the point behind what I'm making? All right. I think the whole drift here, and I think the biggest problem in the Bigfoot community, and I can speak for myself on this, I've been guilty of this myself, but a lot of you are too, and you just don't see it. All right, for one thing, I pointed this out in previous webcasts. Speculation is a big problem. All right, we're using speculation as fact, wrong. Okay, can't do that. Make opinions, present opinions, and make sure you present it as an opinion, not a fact. Because when you're making a fact of something that's not proven, it's speculation. Okay, speculation. All right. Um, and another thing you need to understand, and the other thing is, when one person claims something, their buddies in the Bigfoot community don't like you pointing out speculate. I mean, pointing out that they're speaking speculation, and when they're trying to claim it as fact, they're this is I'm keep it. Just try to bear with me. What I'm trying to get at here is I've observed this for myself. I've seen it for myself because people jump on me on this. You'll have these little cliques, kind of like in high school or whatever. You got this clique over here. If you speak up, if you speak up or share your opinion or knowledge or point out a fact versus a speculation in any way, shape, or form, to one of the people in the clique, then the rest of them come in there and try to throw stuff up at you to try to back up and support their buddy who has no fact, because they're buddies, and they're best friends, and they've known each other in the Bigfoot community all these years. They're going to start trying to share links to everything that will support their, excuse my language, but bullshit. And what they're sharing has no bearing on the topic at hand whatsoever. People are too proud to step down and, because a lot of people in the Bigfoot community have put themselves on a high pedestal, okay, seeking praise for the false knowledge that they're preaching. Okay? And it's a fact. If you don't believe me, open your eyes and observe for yourself. I'm just here to present information to get people to start thinking. Okay? I'm not the expert in the field of Bigfoot. No one is. I'm not an expert in any field whatsoever. Okay? The closest you have to experts in any field are the ones that have degrees and who's been in this for years, okay? That's why I'm glad to work alongside with Steve Peck. People like him, the Bigfoot community needs more people like him, okay? And I support him 100%. He might present something to me that might go against something I believe in. I can't get upset about it, and I can't turn against him. I have to consider that, okay? I have to consider it. It's part of being humble. And I brought that up before too. We need to start being humble. We can't be proud. Learn from it, people. Over the years, I learned a little bit of everything from other people on social media. That's why I started researching long before any of you ever met me on social media. I joined social media to gather information. That's why a lot of us are on here, and you don't even realize it. But that's why I joined social media 6 years ago. All right, I was into Bigfooting before that. I've been a young man. Since a young childhood, I spent my years growing up in the woods, hunting, hiking, playing. I have a lot of knowledge of the outdoors. I grew up as an outdoors person, and through the years later, as Bigfoot got presented to me, when I started looking into the subject of Bigfoot, you know, something about Bigfoot sparked. It just clicked with me. An unclassified and undiscovered species that are roaming these woods in North America. When I started finding evidence of my own that taught me to know that they exist, not just believe that they exist, but I found enough evidence of my own that supports me knowing that they are here. Whether it be a piece of evidence or an encounter, it all relates in everything. I'm putting my own pieces of the puzzle together. My pieces won't fit in your puzzle, but what I have, with the knowledge that I've gained over the years through experience, all right, observations, and gathering information from a number of different individuals. Because the information I've gathered from you are either your theories, thoughts, ideas. I consider them all. I never went along with any of them. Okay? For example, I don't care if you said I could have a mentor. I have had several mentors, regardless, you know, and they want a lot of people share their knowledge with me. Okay? When you're sharing your knowledge with me, doesn't mean I'm learning from it, but although I am learning from your knowledge. Your knowledge might not be accurate. Your knowledge might not be facts. Regardless if it's speculated knowledge, which most of it is, I have to consider it, and I do investigate a lot of it to see if there's any truth behind it. But a lot of times, a lot of what's being put out there is just ideas and thoughts and imagination, fantasy turned into fact. And it's just a theory, when they're all, that's all they are, theories and facts. I mean, excuse me, theories opposite from facts. Okay? There's very few facts floating around. Now, is facts about Bigfoot? No. Observations, yes. Observations are not facts, people. Do understand that. Observations, you could observe something. I could tell you I saw a Bigfoot throw a rock directly at me. I was staring at a Bigfoot 8 foot tall. I'm not. I'm just using this as another illustration. Now that might be my fact. That's not an acknowledged fact. I could share that observation with you, but I can't preach that observation. Am I making sense? Think about it. Now, if you have any questions, if you want to hear me discuss and get into a discussion on any other related topics, you know what to do. And I've said this a number of times. You have my email. My email is right here on the bottom of the webcast that you're watching right now. This is very important. I need to hear from you. If you're on social media with me, if you're on Facebook, message me directly. Let's talk business. Do you want to be interviewed? Do you want to have your words put out there? Let's have a conversation. Let's throw it on the webcast show. Let's get the awareness out there. Do you want awareness spread? I'm all about promoting. I'm all about spreading awareness because that's what the ECBRO is all about. Spreading awareness of who we are, what we are, and what we learn. Learning and educating is a big part of the ECBRO. We're not just Bigfoot researchers. We're educators of what we learn. I study a lot of our known wildlife, and that's how I learn a lot of my knowledge. Okay, observations, studies, and research in and out of the field. Keep that in mind. I'm not an expert, but I'm one who does study. I put a lot of time in it. You'll be surprised. Spend 1 week with me out of the field, and you'll see what I do. So when I'm not here sharing these posts, I'm always constantly looking something up. I'm always reading something, and sometimes I don't completely understand some of the stuff I read, so I have to research and look into other things related to it. I ask questions to certain individuals that I know who understand this stuff, especially if they're the author. I get into a lot of in-depth research because I want to understand and know what I'm reading so I can relate it to the rest of my research. You should do the same thing. Be humble. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I don't care if you're 60 years old. You're not going to understand everything. You're not going to know everything. All right? That's why we ask questions. We have to start asking questions. Because when you ask questions, you might get you might get a small piece of that puzzle presented to you. It may not be the whole answer, but like I said, it might be that small piece of puzzle, that piece that you might be able to start moving around and get closer to the right spot. So anyway, I'm glad you guys are tuning in. I'm glad you guys are viewing me. In order for us to get more awareness out, please feel free to share this. Share my videos. Subscribe to this video. Subscribe to the channel. And again, I want to hear from you. I'm waiting. I'm hearing from you. And I want to thank Steve Peck, aka Shakey Jr. Thank you for your words of wisdom. And I'm glad I could use your wisdom to present my illustrations. Hopefully I can continue to do so. And anyone who is viewing, if you have any words of wisdom, I could, if you want to send to me, I'll listen to it and see if I could place it into one of my webcasts and we could get into a discussion. Everybody, thank you very much. God bless. And don't forget to subscribe. This is Daniel Benoit, founder of the ECBRO. Find me on Facebook. Send me an email. Let's chat.